Hi there, Cosmic Family. My name is Jahlia in this incarnation. Today, I wanted to leave this message for life, but it's very linked with the square that Venus and Leo did yesterday with Uranus in Taurus. This is still on track. And, I already talked about this. I'm going to leave that video in the description too, because this is a cycle that started in June. We had one square in June, another one in August, and this is the third one, and this is the closure of the cycle. So Venus also did 3 squares with Jupiter in Taurus. So let's remember that Venus represents in its high frequency the desires of the soul. It is linked with the value that we give ourselves, the way we connect to self-love, and of course, how we are projecting that on our mirrors. So Venus is very linked with relationships, the things that we value outside, and also resources. These are all topics that are linked with Venus. So these squares in mathematical degrees, they were never undone. Venus was always in tension, was always in tension with Uranus. So this whole cycle was all about changes. Changes that could emerge from the inside, but also many others could come from scenes from the outside. Scenes that were very surprising, that were very disruptive, because these qualities are very linked with Uranus. So all of those changes that we have been experimenting until today, they were happening in order for us to find a more authentic path and to identify in which areas we have to practice to be more faithful and respectful with our own soul. Because that way we are going to manifest the desires of our soul. So in a lot of videos before, I explained how desires of the soul usually takes an evolutionary process, usually takes time, but not for time itself. This goes beyond the process of matter that is actually very dense. They take time because this is more about an internal alignment, and alignment could happen, right here, right now. The present is the time where all the times converges. But in the experimentation, many times we need a lot of experiences, painful ones, happy ones, sad ones, many experiences, in order to know ourselves and to allow and to learn to allow that alignment to happen. So this is not about being in a persecution of something on the outside. This is about allowing a connection with our own soul here on the inside. So from here, we are understanding that the whole ascension process, the redemption process, you can call it whatever you want, is taking us to the manifestation of these desires of the soul, because they are the paradise, they are heaven on earth. And one thing we should take in account is that resistance is the only thing that could bring the perception to ourselves that we are not reaching those desires, or they are delaying in some way. This is a perception, and because of that is also an illusion. So resistance could emerge principally because we are attaching ourselves to desires of the ego. I'm going to put an example about this. And on the other hand, because we are resisting the way the process is developing. We are resisting the form. We are attaching ourselves to the form. So an example of this could be, let's suppose that there's one person that discovered that the relationship that this person had didn't work anymore. So with the transits of Venus, this person finished that relationship. So from that place, natural pain could come to the surface, because that person is grieving a symbolic death. So it's natural. But if that person becomes attached to the old relationship that person already knows that is not collaborating with his process anymore, then that is going to take to suffering. And maybe the ego is ignoring at those moments that situations so much fulfilling, much more fulfilling are coming, or maybe that person is on the edge of meeting, I don't know, a soulmate, for example. So this is very important to understand, because the times of contraction, the times of crisis, they won't last forever. If we are feeling that way for too much time, it's because we are resisting the whole process. We are resisting our path. Another example of this could be a person that had been working in something, and then that something stops giving that person resources. The economy of that person falls. So this person goes through a crisis, and through that crisis, this person discovers his real purpose, his real mission. So if that person gets attached to the old job, that is going to bring suffering, and actually that person is resisting the desires of his soul, So it's very important to understand this. There's no lost time. There's no experience of the past that doesn't serve if we really can learn something about that for the next phase, for the next evolutionary phase. So there's no time lost, actually, if we really can see our past with the perception of integrating those lessons, of understanding what things we don't want to repeat, etc. So with this, again, God, the forces of universe, everything is taking us to the place that deep, profound in ourselves we always wanted to be. But this place is something that happens inside of us, and then we are projecting that into reality. So I think the biggest labor, the biggest work that we have is to detach from the times and the ways we want those things to manifest in this plane. And also to keep doing the work in ourselves, to recalibrate our energy, rebalance our energy. So other thing that I wanted to add, because I did another video that I'm going to leave that on the description, that talks about the spiritual purpose. So the spiritual purpose is linked with the lessons that we came here to integrate. It is linked with the desires of the soul, and also it is linked with our mission, the energetic function that we came here to accomplish. And the development, the potential that we can develop through that energetic function. So these things, from my perspective, cannot be fragmented. Everything is connected. So it is the path of service what actually takes us to the manifestation of the desires, because on the first hand, when we came to this path of service, when we received the call, we know we want to do something for this world, and we start to take decisions and to make moves in order to get aligned to that goal. Well, that path starts to intensify a lot, and there's a lot of transformations, and life is showing us the parts that we didn't integrate before. So that becomes ourselves a vessel that is capable of receiving more light, more and more light. And we are descending that light to this plane. And let's remember that this whole plane, this whole matter, is made of light, is made of energy. So this process is very important to co-create here. And also, the path of service is showing us from here emerges the balance from giving and receiving, because we really learn to give from a real frequency of love, more and more. This means that we learn to give, detaching from the expectation of something in return. But we also know that this is a cosmic law, and everything that we are giving, consciously or unconsciously, is returning to us. So this doesn't mean that if I am giving something to that person has to return me something. But life is going to return things in an indirect way. I don't know if that word exists. So this is the main focus on the end, because I think we have to focus in the ways that we are giving to ourselves and to others also, and to align that giving to the frequency of love as much as we can. We are going to identify that. The mirrors will show also. So I think this is the main thing, because that prepares us also to receive. So thank you everyone, and see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.